I wish parenthood was a subject or a course taught across all disciplines and levels in schools and universities. And at the end of the semester, we write a project and then we get graded afterwards. We go into the world full of not just theoretical experiences, but practical experiences to face the demands of running a home and becoming parents. I know lofty fantasies, but trust me, out there, it's really the greatest teacher. A few weeks ago, I became a dad. The interesting thing about becoming a first-time dad or a first-time mom is the fact that you don't necessarily become it during the period of waiting. If you're someone that you're in your waiting period, I'm sure in your head there's like a whole lot of scenarios and and real life context playing out in your head, like, oh, you become it. But the interesting thing is you don't actually become it in those waiting period. You become it the first time you hear the cries of your baby. At least that was the case for me, because the first time I entered into the room and I heard my baby crying, like a switch flipped in my head. I'm like, this is it. This is the fruit of your love. This is all that you've waited for, all that you've prayed for. On the other spectrum, this is a new responsibility that you guys have created for yourself, right? And I guess it's one of the responsibility that you accept gladly, right? But yes, it was interesting. I mean, I think that was probably one of the most memorable moments of my life, and I won't trade it for anything. And so that has ushered us into like a new era. Things have changed. I mean, I remember telling my wife, I think 2 nights or a night before, that our life is about to change. Our life is just about to, that's just a simple truth. The change may not come with, all the whoosh. It may not come with the winds and the thunders, but it's just the start of something new in your relationship. Today, I'm going to be sharing some things that I am learning as a first-time dad, and things that I've learned over the course of these past few weeks about becoming a dad. So the first thing is, our relationship has gotten a new skin. Previously, I and my wife, we dated for 7 years and we got married in the 8th year. All those moments, we are playing like in the 2D space, right? 2 dimension. And now with a baby in our hands, things just got an extra dimension. And from here on out, we understand that things are going to take a new leap, okay? And we are not just the 2 people in our cocoon just discussing things and being ourselves. Now there's like an extra human being here that we need to induct into our circle and sort of just reorientate the bond again. The second thing that I'm continuously learning is that empathy is really deep. It is a well that you really do not know the end of. Now, this phase is making me realize that I really do not know what empathy is. I'm really just starting to learn it all over again. Don't get me wrong. I know what empathy is. Putting yourself in other people's shoes. I know what it means, right? But it feels like it just got a whole new definition. And I'll tell you why. It came from seeing my wife, watching her go through all the phases of the pregnancy up to the moment of birth and even after birth. I'm not going to dive into the conversation of whether the mom is doing the greatest job in pregnancy or the father is neglected, something like that. What I'm going to tell you is it's a whole different ball game for the women. It's a completely new game for the mothers, for the moms. From the first trimester down to the 3rd, down to the actual birth, even after, it just feels like there's nothing I can do to match up to whatever that she has done. And so from that reality, I'm finding a new expression for empathy. Like, there's no way that you can match up to it. So you are just in this perpetual mode of putting yourself in our shoes, and everything that you're doing, every decision that you're making is coming from that angle. Empathy is going to take a new meaning, it's going to take a new definition, and I am learning that. The third thing that I learned, and maybe even continuously coming to terms with, is that you feel like a fraud, you feel like you're cheating. And it just from my previous points, which is me understanding that there's nothing that I can do to match up to what this woman has done. It's just like, as Christians, there's nothing that we can do to pay for our sins. Jesus already paid it all, and we just need to understand and be in this perpetual reality of what Jesus has done, and walk in that dimension. The same thing in this case, where it's like, God, this woman, you've done this, and now even everything that I'm doing, I'm still feeling like, God, how can I? It feels like I should just, it feels like, this scenarios where you feel like you can just swap bodies, and then it just feels like she did a lot, and me on the other hand, I'm just here trying to do my best. I did my best, and but every now and then it feels like there's still so much to do, but I can't do it because I am what I am. I am who God says I am, and yeah, we are trying to navigate this balance, and I something that I tell her a lot, and try as much to make sure that there's no deficit in terms of responsibilities, and in terms of what she can do that what she cannot do that I can do, and what she can do that I cannot do. So yeah, the fourth thing here is that stakeholder management is a must, and I saw this firsthand when my in-laws came, my mom and her mom, and families and extended and immediate. Goodness me, there's a whole lot. I'm not going to go into details, but if you're watching this and if you understand what I'm trying to say, it is very important to be able to make sure that you're managing the necessary stakeholders. A subset of this point is that optics matter. Optics matter. Sometimes you do some certain things because you just need to do them. It doesn't have to, come from a very happy mode, genuine mindset. But there's some things that you just have to do just for the sake of sanity, for the sake of peace, and for the sake of respect. And the fifth point here is that you never really know your family for sure. Now, this point is nuanced. You know your people, like, for example, your own family, you know them, right? Your mom, how she should behave in some certain scenarios, or your dad, how he should behave in some certain scenarios, or your siblings, how they should behave in some certain scenarios. But they are all simulated, they are all thoughts, they are all something that we infer with probability. This should happen because you spend some time with them, and so this should happen. Or your friends, this should happen. But you find out that sometimes it doesn't happen the way you thought it would. I was telling my wife that you never really know people for sure. Sometimes it could even be your family, right? You know them, but there's just some scenarios where you really don't know what action that they are going to take, or if or whether they are even going to take them. So just temper your expectations. And especially when people don't behave the way that you want them to, because in these moments a lot of people are excited, like, oh, this is that. Maybe some agreement that you guys have had now, it has been thrown into the toilet, and people are running on their own with whatever plans and ideas that they have. Just temper your expectations. You never really know people for sure. So yeah, something to note. And lastly, remember that God has blessed you. You must never forget that. And in the Bible, we are told that children are like arrows in the hand of a warrior. Blessed is the man whose quiver is full of them. And you must always remember to be in a perpetual mode of gratitude, because it's a privilege to be in this situation. It's a privilege to be a mom, it's a privilege to be a dad. It's a blessing. It's a divine blessing. So to conclude here, if you are an expecting dad and a first time dad especially, congratulations. You've got something wonderful coming your way. Prepare, ready your mind, and take note of these points that I've mentioned and trust God that everything is going to work out well. Don't forget to tap that subscribe button so that other first time dads can also say this. I'm going to catch you in the next video.